Hi, everyone. Sorry for the wait there, but we had a little bit of technical difficulty that we had to troubleshoot. Thanks for attending another GoDaddy Pro webinar, though, or if this is your first one, welcome. We're glad to have you. For those of you who have never been to one of these before, my name is Angela Blake. I'm with GoDaddy Pro. I've been with GoDaddy for a total of about 6 years, and I will be participating in chat here and there. You're going to see me as the GoDaddy icon, so whenever you see the GoDaddy replying to you in chat, it's not a bot, it's a real person, it's just me. We're gonna have Jonathan Wold and Gareth Allison joining us here from WooCommerce. You can see them on screen now, and I'm gonna let them tell you a little more about themselves and the topic that they're gonna be going over, the demonstration really, when I introduce them in a few minutes. But before that, we're going to go ahead and do our shameless plug. If everyone wants to share a URL in the chat, it can be your site, it can be a site that you're working on. Just give yourself a little bit of a shout out, and we'll see who we've got here. Looks like we've already got a few people in here. I think someone might have already called for a shameless plug while I was working on things maybe, so that's great. Good looking out. In the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and make some introductions. Mike Chorba is usually on screen with me for these, but he's going to be in the chat. You've probably already seen him posting once or twice under the name Chorba. He runs the GoDaddy Pro Twitter handle, so that's where you can see all of our GoDaddy Pro events, the virtual events, webinars, things like that that we have coming up, as well as topics that might interest you. I know he posts a lot of really interesting content there. So shout out to Mike Chorba, say hi to him in chat. We've got a few URLs already, lwnfoundation.org and dealx1.net. Thanks for sharing, guys. And I'm going to go ahead and introduce Gareth here. Gareth, you want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Angela. Welcome, everyone. As you heard, my name's Gareth, and I'm the brand, social, email, and content designer for WooCommerce at Automatic. What that simply means is that I kind of have a hand in all of the marketing content that goes out across all of the many WooCommerce channels out there. And I'm excited for you folks to join us here for our third WooCommerce webinar in partnership with our friends at GoDaddy. We're going to be talking about how to build a site with WooCommerce tonight. We're doing it live demo. And joining me is Jonathan Wold. You want to say hello there, Jonathan?
Hey, everyone. Jonathan Wold. I lead community initiative here at WooCommerce. That means a lot of different things, but ultimately we have a mission to making commerce more accessible for everyone, making it easier to get started. And I'm really excited to we're wrapping up this series with a focus on, and what's been great about this series overall is we're focusing on builders, people who are, a lot of times with Woo, we're focused on the merchants and the sellers. And today, and over the course of the series, we've been focused on folks like yourselves who are actually creating things for clients in WooCommerce. So excited to get into that. Let's go ahead and start. So over the past two series that we've done so far, we opened up with the first one. If you haven't seen them yet, I recommend that you go back and check those out. We started by focusing on sharing an overview of the principles of e-commerce success and talking about some high-level guidelines for how to succeed with Woo. Last week, we took you through a tour of the WooCommerce admin to kind of give you a sense of the different focus areas and talk through them and share some perspective. And today, we're going to be doing we're going to dive in and actually be working on a site. So we've come up with Gareth and I both have extensive backgrounds in freelancing, and we've come up with a hypothetical scenario, a restaurant that has an existing WordPress site and wants to add WooCommerce capabilities. It wants to add e-commerce capabilities. They want to be able to sell a meal kit for delivery or local pickup, and they want to take reservations for dinner. Two pretty great examples, also pretty basic. And we're going to go from over the course of today's demonstration, the plan is to go from a basic WordPress site and get to the end state with some of these parts and pieces working. I'm really excited to get into it. Gareth, anything to add before we jump in?
No, I'm pretty excited, and I think this is a good example of a client that you may come across pretty regularly in the real world, and it's especially relevant right now, I guess, with current situation. So I'm excited to get started and show you what we're going to do.
Awesome. So I'm going to go ahead and share screen in just a moment here. I mean, this is, so again, Gareth and I, years of preparation for this. It is a live demonstration. So
anything can happen.
Anything can happen. Feel free to ask questions as we go along. But our goal is to, what we want you to walk away with when this is said and done is a sense of, wow, okay, look what they did, as long as it goes well in 45 minutes. and to give you more confidence about what you can also do with your clients on Woo. So without further ado, let's go ahead and take a look at the example site that we'll be working with here. Okay, so here we have our hypothetical client. Shout out to Angela, who did the great work in putting this together. So this is on GoDaddy running the Go theme. No WooCommerce installed yet, but we have this lovely little restaurant. And they've come to Gareth and I, using the power of our imaginations now, to ask for some e-commerce capability to get added. So let's go ahead and log into the admin. And here we have the beautiful WordPress admin. And let's get started. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to install WooCommerce. I'm going to go over to plugins and oh, look at that right there. We're going to give that an installation and we're going to go ahead and walk through the onboarding process and setting up a new WooCommerce installation. And Gareth, as I go through the opening steps, feel free to jump in at any time here.
Sure.
Let me just close this out.
It's interesting to note if you're new to WordPress and you don't see WooCommerce featured in the featured plugins list there when you go into the plugins section, you may see a little search box just above the WooCommerce block there where you can type in WooCommerce, search for that, and it should come up. You'll be able to install and activate it from there.
What do you think, Gareth? Oh, there it went. All right. Well, that's the auto search completing. Let's see. Is WooCommerce, how's it doing?
The nice thing about doing this with GoDaddy is you could see that WooCommerce was a recommended plugin right at the start there when you go to you hit the plugins menu.
And
so
this is
like
of course
installed there for you, Jonathan.
Yes, and looks like in this case we don't have the SSL certificate provision, which is perfectly fine. We're going to go ahead and click on, and here we are. So this takes us into the onboarding wizard. So Gareth, you want to tell me about this hypothetical client we've got? Where we decided that they're going to be located?
Yeah, so completely random location. I've decided that our restaurant, Bazo's, is located in Ann Arbor, Michigan.
Oh, I like that. Well, let's go ahead and imagine. And Ann Arbor, Michigan. This is in the United States.
With a zip code of 48104.
48104. Do we have an address?
Let's make it 123 Lane Road. It sounds like a perfectly plausible place for a restaurant to be located.
We'll check that we're setting this up for our client. And this is a good example of a fairly typical flow. Now, what's this, Gareth?
So this is it's a little notification. We ask folks if they are willing to send us anonymized data to help us make WooCommerce better, basically. This usage tracking means we can understand a little bit better how stores are set up. And also it helps us recommend extensions and any things that might be beneficial to you, either during the setup flow or later on in your store's journey. It helps us create better features, make WooCommerce basically just a little bit more useful. And awesome. As I mentioned, it's non-sensitive data about how the store is set up and managed. There's no personal data tracked or stored from you or your client.
Awesome. All right. So next part in the flow, why does Woo ask me about the industry? Why is this a useful thing?
Yeah. So as I mentioned, by letting us know which business vertical or industry, there are some smart options that come later on in the setup flow where we can perhaps recommend extensions or functionality that may be beneficial to a business operating in that area.
Awesome.
Or later on during the store journey.
I asked what type of products. So we already have decided that we're going to use bookings and subscriptions. We know that. No subscription in this case. Physical products that we ship, and we want them to have the reservations. So start speeding it up a little bit. How many products do you plan to have? Let's just do this for now. And are we currently selling anywhere? No. So it gives some helpful recommendations, which we don't want in this case. And we'll continue. And we already have an active theme.
Mm-hmm.
And here we're going to go ahead and attempt to demonstrate setting up the new WooCommerce Payments, which I'm quite excited about.
Yeah, this is a very exciting new feature that we launched just recently. It's only available for US stores right now, but we are going to be expanding it and adding new territories, new currencies as soon as we can. But for now, US only. And it's a really exciting new feature for us. And for me, the reason why I like it so much is it's beneficial for both the store owner and the customer shopping on the store. For the store owner, it's really easy to see and monitor all your payments in one place. You don't have to log into a separate payment processor website. And for the customer, if they're buying from your store, a lot of payment processors, once a customer clicks buy, they're sort of rerouted off your store to that payment processor site to complete the purchase and then come back to your store. It's a little bit of a disjointed flow, and WooCommerce Payments rather eliminates some of that friction. And hopefully that means you'll have less customers abandoning their carts and hopefully spending more money with you.
Yep. And in general, I think one of the things that will probably get clearer as time goes on, in this case, I'm setting this up under my own accounts. Mm-hmm. But normally you might have the client, you'd want this to be associated with their account and maybe walk them through that setup process.
Yeah.
There's a couple different ways to do it. All right. So I'm surprised it did not prompt me about the payments process. So where is that? Let's go take a look here. Normally in that setup flow, it should have showed me. One of the things I'm curious about, since we have this in a demo environment and there's no SSL certificate, let's see. I'm curious about why it's not showing up WooCommerce Payments. All right, how about I'm going to do some investigation, and we have a lot of things to cover, so I'm going to go ahead and hand over the screen to you, Gareth, and I will get this set up on my side while you show us some of the next steps.
Sure. So now that we have WooCommerce installed, and let me share my screen here quickly with you folks. That is the wrong tab. As I said, we're doing this live, and we're trying to make up for a little bit of lost time here as well. So I appreciate your patience with us. Right. So now that WooCommerce is installed, what we're going to do is we want to install WooCommerce Bookings. Our client wants to accept reservations in their restaurant. So I'm going to go on the left-hand side here in the navigation menu to plugins and add new. And as earlier when we were searching for WooCommerce, you'll see there's some recommended extensions here. But what I'm going to do is I've bought this plugin from WooCommerce.com, or if I've got the WooCommerce and GoDaddy hosted plan, it's come with that plan. I'm going to upload the zip file for WooCommerce Bookings. You can see it's loaded there. I'm going to hit the install button, and this is going to set up bookings for us, which is going to be useful a little further on down the road when we set up our Bookable product, which is the dinner reservation here in Bazo's restaurant in a beautiful Ann Arbor. I've never been. I assume it's beautiful. Like I said, we picked the location at random. I assume it's a great place for an Italian restaurant. Right, the plugin is installed. I'm going to activate WooCommerce Bookings. Now you can see in our plugin list over here, WooCommerce Bookings is active.
I got payment set up behind the screen as well, or behind the scenes as well, so we can go over there whenever we're ready. But sure. Carry on.
So what I'm going to do next, why don't I set up shipping and taxes and then hand back to you for payments, Jonathan?
Perfect.
So essential parts of a store, naturally, if we're selling a physical product in this case, is the meal kit. that the restaurant wants to sell. In the WooCommerce menu, I'm going to hit the settings option, and you'll see a bunch of tabs here. General settings, you can see the address that Jonathan set up there earlier. I'm going to head over to shipping so we can get started with that. And as I mentioned, we're in Ann Arbor, Michigan. So we're going to need a shipping zone for folks who are in that area, as our client wants to offer local pickup and free delivery for folks in Ann Arbor. So the first thing we need to do is I'm going to add a shipping zone. You can see one in here from a previous install. I'm going to delete that just to remove confusion. So adding our first shipping zone, I'm going to add it and call it local. That seems like a good name. And we need to specify a region. I'm going to go ahead into Michigan. I need to United States there first. Aha, it's not autofilling. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to limit it to a specific zip. And because I know that our store is located in Ann Arbor and I have the zip code here, I'm going to add that in there. And you'll see the descriptor here says we can create a wildcard, postcard, or zip code. And I know that a couple of surrounding areas have the 4810 prefix. So by removing the last letter and replacing it with the asterisk, that means local pickup or local shipping should be enabled for the area around our store or restaurant. And then we need to set up a shipping method. So as I mentioned, we're going to set up free shipping in this local zone, which I'm going to add there. We can edit it if we want, in case we want to specify where the coupons are needed. We don't in this stage. I'm going to hit Save Changes. And then also I'm going to enable or add local pickup. I select the local pickup option from the dropdown, add the shipping method. If I hit edit there, you can see if we want to make this taxable, we don't because there's no money exchanging hands. And the cost is 0. So there you go. We've set up our local pickup options here. As you can see, I'm just going to try the does not seem to be autofilling that, but no worry. So there, I've set up free shipping and local pickup. And now
I'm starting to get hungry. I'm ready for a delivery to come to me now.
I know. So I'm going to head back to shipping zones here. And what we're going to do is specify shipping zone that is not local. So I'll do this a little bit quicker. And this is going to be for the nearby town, which is Dexter. Sounds like a cool name. That was a cool TV show, right? And I'm going to limit this to Dexter's zip code, which I know. I'm going to paste that in there. And for this nearby town, we're still offering shipping, but we're going to specify a flat rate because it's a little further for our delivery driver to travel out there. And I'm going to edit that flat rate and say it's not taxable, but we're going to offer a $5 delivery cost. And I'm going to save that change. And there we go. Those should be our 2 delivery zones set up. Anywhere else, locations that are not covered will not be eligible for shipping. So those are the locales that our restaurant wants to sell their products to. And very quickly, I'm going to set up the tax. This can obviously get quite complex, right, Jonathan? I mean, this tax is no joke. We're not qualified tax professionals. There are some brilliant tax services out there that can help you automate your taxes. But for the purposes of this demo, we're going to set a flat tax rate. And I know that in Michigan, it is 6%. So as you can see here, we're not automating taxes. I know in the US that prices are often shown exclusive of tax. So I'm going to make sure that's selected. The tax is based on the shop base address. The shipping tax class is standard. Display prices are excluding tax. Okay, this all looks good.
Nice.
Let's make sure. And then I'm going to set my standard rate. As you can see, this link here next to tax options, I'm going to set my standard rate to 6%. So there's a default one that's in here already. I'm going to change that to 6%, and that tax name is Michigan. And I'm going to save those changes. And those are our flat tax rates and our shipping zones that are set up. Jonathan, you want to bounce back and check on the payments?
And this is a great example of something we've touched on before. Like WooCommerce gives you a lot out of the box. And if you need more, there's fantastic extensions available. You can work with extensions to automate the tax collection and distribution and payment side of things. A lot of parts and pieces there. Woo gives you a lot out of the box. Just know that there's more, especially if your clients need more. All right, let's switch back over here and take a look at payments. So what I've done is search for and install the WooCommerce Payments plugin. I think the reason why it wasn't showing up is because we've already enabled dev mode for this particular demo. And there's some great documentation. If Gareth, you want to drop a link in there when you get a chance. So over here, I've installed WooCommerce Payments, or I've just activated, and it's taking me to this screen. So we're going to go ahead and attempt a setup process. And this is the screen it'll pull up. So what I've done here is we've enabled dev mode. And what we're going to do is put in some dev mode data. Let's do, I think we do, I think that's fine. And we'll put in this fake number. And the mobile verification code. And this is helpful just to familiarize yourself. It has a complete dev mode available. And let's do for the EIN. Oh, it wanted me to do the individual rather than, let's see what happens if I go back and change that from a company to an individual. Yeah, let's do that again. So we'll make that an individual. And the mobile number again is this with a 00 verification code. And our street address, we're going to, imaginary client is the name, date of birth. In 1976, let's do that. Oh, that didn't work. And what was our address? Was 123 Lane Street?
I think that's correct. I mean, it sounds plausible, right? It's probably in a very, very hip neighborhood of Ann Arbor.
What was that? What was that zip code again?
48104.
Pretty close. And then our social security here. So again, and you'll see this in the documentation, you can enable dev mode just to go through and test this. You wouldn't do this on the actual client site, but for our purposes here, it'll do the job nicely. And we'll do restaurant industry type. We're currently in test mode. We're going to use the test account for the bank account, which is perfect. And boom. And this will let us do more when we want to later, but this will let us simulate transaction. This is a good way, especially if you're just familiarizing yourself with how things work, to be able to jump in and experience that. All right. What do we want to do next, Gareth?
Well, I think the next logical step, Jonathan, is probably to set up our product.
Nice.
Let's start out with a simple product. Let's start out with the meal kit that Bazos is wanting to sell. What we're going to do for this one is they have a signature risotto. How good does that sound?
Oh, it sounds amazing.
I haven't eaten much risotto in my life, but apparently Bazos is the best. So what we're going to do
I think it was smart of them too to start with one product. We're going to get that.
Exactly. So the idea behind this is that this is their signature product. This is their signature meal. This is what people go to their restaurant for. So with the current situation, not a lot of people are able to come into the restaurant. You know, perhaps they've got restrictions of the amount of people that could come in and enjoy the food. So you can see in here, I've set up a couple. Let's get rid of those. I'm bold enough to do this on the fly.
I'm feeling it, man.
Okay. It's like, no, that's too wild card for me. That's too wild card. But don't worry, we'll set up a whole new one here. So
Bookings didn't like that existing one. Yeah,
it didn't like that. No, it didn't like me doing that on the fly. So here's our simple product that we're setting up. This is our meal kit for Bazo's signature risotto. So we're going to add the product name in there, and going to assign it a product category. Let's say it is meal kit. This helps us assign.
Hey, Gareth, while you do that, can I go ahead and delete the old bookings? Is that fine to do?
You can go ahead and do that.
I'll clear the data out.
Yeah. You work in the background while you work backstage. So
do that.
This is where it gets really cool. If you joined us for last week's webinar, you'll be familiar with the product data meta box here. And this is where we're setting up our simple product. It's not virtual or downloadable. And we're going to enter our regular price in here. I think we can let's charge $30 for this. This is a pretty good risotto, right?
Gareth, I just spoke to the client. They want to do $35.
Wow. Well, the client calls the shots. So let's bump that up there. This is a physical product, so it is going to be taxable. And standard tax class. Yeah, there we go. We're going to set the inventory here. If you have a look on the left-hand side of this meta box, you'll see there's a couple of options. So we've set the price. Let's set the SKU, which is the stock keeping unit, which is used a lot in commerce and e-commerce. We're going to call that meal kit risotto. And we're going to want to be able to manage stock at a product level in here, not using any third-party stock management. And this is a pretty elite special product. So let's say there's only 20 available at the moment. We're not going to allow back orders, and there's a low stock threshold which we can set, which can alert our client when they're getting low if they choose to replenish it or let the item sell out. And then we could also restrict this to only be bought once by each customer, but we're not going to do that right now.
More the merrier.
The more the merrier, I think. This is such a delicious product. Why not? So we can add a description of the product here as well, or a short description. I'm just going to add that in. I'm going to paste that in. I prepared this ahead of time, so you didn't have to stream me typing with one finger an entire paragraph of text. So reviewing our product, we've set the price, we've set the stock keeping unit, we've set the quantity. It is a taxable product. We've added the short description and the description, assigned it to a product category. I feel like we can publish this product, Jonathan.
I just got the image from the client.
Okay.
So once you publish it, I can jump in and add the image.
That's a good point. I'm going to hit publish, and then in just a few magical seconds, we should be able to preview this product on the front end.
So once you publish it, you'll wait for about 2 seconds, and then I will. All right, go ahead and leave it so I can jump in. You can keep sharing your screen, but
sure.
I will click edit. WordPress does a great job of locking the product so that only one person at a time can be editing it. So you'll need to leave the edit screen.
I thought something else was at play there. I thought
I'm clicking. There we go.
There we go. So right, this is our new product that we've added on the front end. And as you can see, there's the title, there's our price, there's a nice little swishy blurb that markets the product nicely. You can see on the front end that there's 20 in stock. That can also generate a little bit of demand for people.
Go ahead and refresh.
folks can add an amount there. I'm going to hit refresh here, and we should see Jonathan's amazing new product image that came in from the client. Oh, delicious. That is a good-looking risotto.
That's the end result of this meal kit.
Exactly. If you scroll a little bit further down, you can see the longer description that we put in there. And if we also added product attributes such as the dimensions and weight and things like that, that would appear in a tab here. But for the sake of this demo, it's not necessary. So that product is then available. It can be added to cart. Boom. And then that is don't worry about the alert at the top. That's the earlier bookable product.
Yep.
And you can see the product is in the cart. And if we scroll down here, it says enter your address to view shipping options. So we can see that tax has already been applied. Michigan tax, state tax, necessary evil. And if we go ahead and calculate shipping here, it'll then be able to tell us which shipping options are available to us. So I'm going to say, I'm in United.
Isn't that the address field, or isn't that the...
Not seem to enjoy that. Does not seem to enjoy me trying to auto search that. So what I'm going to do there is enter my Michigan zip code, which I will paste in here. Yeah, it doesn't seem to like the autofill feature, which is typical for a live demo, but hey, that's why we're doing the seat of the pants stuff, folks.
Yes.
So because of the other stuff that I'm not able to eliminate there, it's not letting me calculate shipping. If in normal circumstances, when you search United States, Michigan, add the zip code in there, it would give us the free shipping option and then also the local pickup option that we previously set up.
We'll catch that in QA later, though, before we show the client. So we're good.
we'll edit this in post. Don't worry. When it's when you watch the review, the replay, it'll all be slick.
So we've got a meal kit good to go. Client's really happy about that, but they want to be able to take reservations once this lockdown is opened up. So how can we help them do that?
Well, this is the power of WooCommerce Bookings, and as I mentioned, you can either get this product from WooCommerce.com as well. It is a premium product, or if you get the GoDaddy and WooCommerce hosted plan that we're offering at the moment, that will come free with your plan as well. But more on that at the end of the webinar. I'm sure Choba will paste some links in there while we're talking to that plan if you're interested. So a bookable product, we're going to set it up in a very similar way that we just set up the simple product. I'm going to go to products in the left-hand menu here. I'm going to add a new product. And this one, I'm going to call Dinner at Bazaars. Why not? That seems like a good name for a reservation. Under product categories, I'm just going to add reservation. Here we go. Now the product meta box, this is where we're going to make the distinction here. Simple product. If I hit this drop down, you'll notice right at the bottom, bookable product, and that is enabled because we've installed WooCommerce Bookings. This option would not be available in core WooCommerce. It's there for us now, and you can see some changes have happened once I've selected that.
Gareth, really quick, so you chose the reservation category. You're more familiar with bookings as a product than I am. Was there any significance to picking a category, or was that just for a classification on the eventual front end?
No, we could have called it bookings as well. It's more of a front end and an organizational
excellent
tool specifically. And also, I'm thinking, I'm thinking of the future with this client as well. Bookings is a powerful product, and perhaps in the future they want to offer cooking classes or something like that.
Yes,
which would be a different category.
Because what's going to happen is that meal kit's going to show up, and I'm going to try to get the risotto looking like that picture, and it probably is not going to work. So I will want to show up at a class.
Yeah, and knowing me, there'll be fire involved. So in terms of, I'm just thinking of the future in terms of that product category setting. You could call it bookings if you wanted to.
That's a great tip in general, by the way, like working with clients to anticipate where they're going to go and think about the little setup steps that can anticipate Like, hey, our clients here has asked for some basic things, but they might want more in the future. What are the extra little things we can do to make that easier and help them see that future? And that can lead to the chance to serve them and do more things with them.
Yeah, and as someone building a site for clients, it might save you some headaches later on as well.
Yep.
All right, so we've selected our bookable product. This is a virtual product. So as you can probably see from the tooltip there, it means it's a product that's not shipped. So
yes.
We're going to check that. That removes a couple of options from our left-hand menu.
In this case, it's a reservation at our physical location. That is the thing that they're engaging with.
Yeah, that's right. Has persons. This is if a bookable product can be booked by a customer-defined number of people. So in this case, yes, we're going to say that a reservation can have up to a certain amount of people. It's a restaurant. So 4 people at a table is most likely. We're going to check that.
And as soon as you did that, little persons option showed up at the bottom of the screen.
Exactly. Yeah. You'll notice, feel free to play around with these kind of things if you're unsure, and you'll see options appear and disappear. And that can help you explore the product as well as our documentation, obviously. Tax status for this product, it's not a physical product. We're going to say none. No money is exchanging hands for this. It's a digital booking, so it's not taxable.
Although we could, in theory, charge for reservations if the client was so inclined.
If we wanted to get fancy, we can involve a deposit situation with this, and then tax status would definitely come into
the risotto was in such high demand that,
taxable risotto.
Yeah.
So we're going to set our booking duration. That's how long a block of time that these people are booking. So I'm going to say roughly fixed blocks. We're going to set it ourselves. We're not going to allow the customer to set how long they want to stay there. And we feel that 2 hours for dinner is, a decent amount of time. We're going to make sure that the calendar picker is available on the front end so that folks can choose which day they want to book. This is an important box here is we can check if the booking requires approval or confirmation from the restaurant itself, or whether the customer can book the reservation themselves and show up knowing that it's confirmed already. It's automatically confirmed. They can see it when they place their order for the reservation. So for the purposes of this, we're not going to check this. It's going to be an automatic booking. The next item we're going to hit on the left-hand side menu here. A lot of these won't apply. The link products, attributes, advanced, get more options. We're going to head straight to availability. When are these bookings available? The maximum amount of bookings allowed per block. We're going to say that this restaurant has 10 tables. Current restrictions, they're only allowed to have 10 tables. And so that's what we're going to set as a maximum, so that 11 groups of people can't book and show up and there's no table allocated for folks. We're going to set the minimum block bookable. We're going to leave that there, not necessary. I'm going to say that folks can book their restaurant bookings up to 2 weeks in advance. That seems fair. We're not going to require a buffer period of hours between bookings. This could be helpful if our client was perhaps a hair salon or some other service where it would be great to have a buffer period in between. At this stage, we're confident that at the end of the 2 hour period, the next people will come in and their booking will start without a buffer. All dates are available by default. Sounds good.
These are good examples of things, I imagine, by the way, that are helpful to walk a client through. So it's important for you as the builder to familiarize yourself with these options. There are even some business decisions to make here, right? Like they might say, okay, they can, it can be right up, and because we don't mind, we have a nice waiting area where someone can sit if their table's not ready yet. And that can all be managed. But it's good to familiarize yourself as a builder with what's here so that you can talk a client through it.
Yeah, exactly. And the good thing is here, you can set this on a per product basis as well. So like we mentioned earlier, if there's a different booking for a different type, perhaps you would want to have a buffer period where folks could come and clean away the stuff in between the cookery classes or something like that. Well, you're going to set our first block to start at 5 p.m. That seems like fairly early for dinner, but this is a busy restaurant. Why not? And we're going to restrict selectable days a lot of restaurants are closed on a Sunday and Monday, so we're going to select Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, all the way through Saturday. And the range is important because this helps us set the hours that the restaurant is actually open, so that folks also can't book for hours past opening time. So for this, we're going to set time range. So we've already said we want to start at 5 p.m. And that's going to run until, let's see, 19, 21, 23, let's say 11 p.m. That's all week. We don't want it all week. We want to have a day range as well. As we mentioned, our restaurant is closed on Sundays and Mondays. And there we go. That should be almost.
Do you need to set bookable to yes for that second row?
That's correct. Well spotted. See, that was a test, Jonathan. I was actually testing. You have passed, and you'll be eligible to do another webinar.
I just want the risotto at this point.
We're really selling that risotto hard. As we mentioned before, this is a free booking. We're not going to set a base cost. You could set it here. And the final thing we're going to set here is number of persons for this booking. Minimum number of persons is 1. Maximum number of persons, let's say 4 people at a table. If this again was for a different service, it might be a maximum of 1 if it's for a haircut or something like that. We could change the costs if there was a cost assigned per person, but we're not going to do that.
What's this enable person types?
Yeah, on first glance, that might seem a little strange, but some types of businesses will charge different amounts for, of course, perhaps adults, seniors, or children, or seniors, or things like that.
Good.
And that is what that checkbox would enable, and then you can specify that from there. So that could be quite helpful if your pricing is tiered. Again, going back to our cooking class demo idea, maybe it's more expensive for adults and children or seniors. So that is what that function is. We're just going to paste in, aware that time is not our friend as it usually is with these kind of things. I'm going to paste in our description and short description.
Chef Bazzo himself.
World renowned. He brings Italy into your own home, apparently. I'm going to hit publish here. And
it's one of the things I've always loved about the client business is that you get to meet all sorts of interesting clients, and oftentimes they'll be generous and let you try the things that they provide.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, this would be a pretty good client to work for, I would imagine. So here is our booking, our reservation on the front end of the website. As you can see,
nice.
Up to 4 people per table. Reservations are limited. And here, if we have a look, there's our 2-week period where we can choose.
Yep.
Which day seems good for you? I want to eat there on a Tuesday, I think.
Let's do it, man.
So I hit Tuesday the 16th, and here I can see those times, those blocks of times of 2 hours apiece that we set up earlier. I'll select 7 p.m.
I just want to make a point too. This is why it's so valuable to go through an experiment with these things, because this is powerful. And we did this in a few minutes with no code. And this is something that you can just set up and have available to your clients.
No code at all. Just drop-down menus, checkboxes, form fields. You can see there's our signature risotto meal kit that we had from earlier. And you can see if I remove that now, let's say we were just checking out the reservation. There's no cost. Proceed to checkout. Obviously,
I imagine it's outside the scope of this, but one of the things that we can do, you could probably customize the flows a bit more for someone.
Oh, absolutely.
Book out.
Yeah, that's where the beauty of code snippets and a little bit of customization would come in, where you could add or skip steps, or in this case, billing is not necessary, so you could probably change this to customer details and omit some of these standard.
And because this is common territory, there's a lot of people who've already. There's a lot of well-established documentation out there,
absolutely,
on how others have done this.
And that's where it really shines, is that customizability, right? We're just kind of scratching the surface, showing you here how you can get started with a very basic no-code setup. The last thing I want to show here is because we've added that reservation to the cart. Let's imagine for a minute that I'm a completely different customer. When I come here and I select the same day, I can see that there are less slots left there now. We remember when we set up our product, we said that there were 10 slots for the 10 tables that are in this restaurant. The customer can now see, hey, there's only 9 tables left. And when, let's say for an instance, Tuesday night is super popular. If this was sold out, then this block of time would be grayed out and they would not be able to choose. They'd have to choose from our other time settings here. So that's also a great way to generate demand. People can see that seats are running low for a particular day.
Awesome. And from there, there's so much that can be done. We can customize notifications so that the client gets alerts either via email or text, like whatever flow we can do. We can create our own basic integrations or explore integrations with other systems that they might be using. Many of them have like WooCommerce plugins available. It's really powerful what you can do. And we've already in just a few minutes built things that can have a very tangible impact to the client's business.
Yeah. And finally, I just want to touch on bookings management, but what you were saying there is really true, because with the standard bookings plugin setup, emails are actually sent to firstly the store admin as well as the customer confirming their booking. So that's already baked in to the plugin. So I'm just going to cover very briefly what it's like to manage bookings on the restaurant's end. Let's say Chef Bazo has logged in. He wants to check out his bookings for He's
too busy making the risotto, so probably one of his staff.
This is not going to show the item because we didn't check out here now.
Yep.
But what we could go back there, fill in some dummy.
Click on the in cart. Up at the top, there's a filter there above the list of bookings.
Yes, correct. Thank you.
And you can actually see.
Let's imagine this order had actually been checked out. Bazo would be able to see, hey, there's a booking that's happened. It's if we fill in our billing information, it would see, hey, Jonathan Wold has checked this out. This is when it's going to happen. You can view it quickly.
Yep, all the details that are available.
And if,
by the way, we're just alluding to WooCommerce has great support for like uncompleted checkouts and being able to see the data, even if it wasn't finished all the way, and things you can do there's plugins that you could install to prompt like, hey, we noticed that you started to book a reservation but didn't complete it yet. Can we help you with that?
So you may have noticed in the onboarding flow, there were a couple of recommended extensions. One of them was MailChimp, which you could integrate with this, or perhaps an extension called Automate Woo, which is really great with abandoned carts and follow-up emails and things like that. This would work really well with this product. And you could automate that all for your customer, your client, let me say rather. So Chef Bazo wouldn't have to worry about things like that. The only other difference here is if this item had been put in the cart and we'd set earlier that the store admin has to confirm the booking, we would see a little checkbox over here, a little button you could click, and Bazo could confirm, yes, I accept your booking for tonight, which would then send out a couple of automated emails to the customer and to any other store admins as well to notify them, hey, we have a booking tonight and it's confirmed. These are the customer's details. You can expect them at this time. Really powerful stuff.
Awesome. So, Angela, if you want to come back on screen, I know that I think there's been some questions that have come in, but we wanted to get through as much as we could in a short amount of time. And what we hope this gives you, especially if you're new, just a sense of confidence. And like we've said before, just encourage you to just play around with it. There's so many different parts and pieces, but if you'll familiarize yourself with what's possible, there's so many great tutorials and resources out there. More webinars like this will be happening. And there's a lot of power there. And as you familiarize yourself with it, first off, like if a client's asking you if something can be done, there's a good chance it can. So I think you can have that confidence out of the box. And second, the more time that you'll spend familiarizing yourself, the better position you'll be to be able to say, oh yeah, no problem. And I know how to do that, or I know how to learn how to get that done. And it's amazing what you can do. Well, I think let's go ahead and take a look at questions. and see what kind of questions we have. I noticed that AJ asked a question about WooCommerce and mobile apps. And I think it was specifically other ways. Like I'm guessing that's about setting up your own mobile apps. That's slightly outside the scope of this, but I'll say a few things. First, the WooCommerce mobile app. WooCommerce has a great mobile app for managing your store. What the first place that I would encourage you to look is for themes that have good mobile support, right?
Yeah.
So the GoDaddy theme has great mobile support. The Go theme storefront does as well. And that's the first thing that you'd look at is how can you just create a great mobile experience. If you're wanting to get into more advanced things, like into apps, one of the things to be aware of is that there's a project called WooGraphQL. I've dropped a link in. That's quite advanced, but that you can use, and people have done this using WooCommerce as the backend. They've created mobile checkout experiences leveraging WooGraphQL. So that's something to look into. If you're interested in going that route and creating some custom experiences for clients. But just another good example of how far you can go with Woo.
It's always interesting with mobile apps because there's always the question of why do you need it and why would you want that rather than a robust mobile browser experience. I understand that some clients may want it, but as Jonathan mentions, if the theme is mobile enabled and fast, you're on good hosting, the site is speedy, I think I'd definitely say consider whether you actually really need a mobile app or not.
Yep. The other thing I'd add too, and you might want some of the stuff that gets really fun really quickly is more integrated experiences. Let's say you want the orders to show up for folks in the restaurant. You can build these types of things out, and that's where these things like WooGraphQL can be incredibly valuable to get access to the data that's coming in, that's being managed in Woo, and put it out into custom applications.
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome. Well, I think most of the other questions have already been answered directly in chat. So thanks for doing that, Gareth and Chorba and Angela. So I think that's a wrap from our side. Thank you guys all for coming. Hope you've enjoyed the series and found it useful. There was a poll that went out. If you want to take a moment to let us know how helpful this has been or not been, but no, I think it's been. We've certainly enjoyed it. So GoDaddy, appreciate you guys giving us the chance to share, and we'll see you guys next time.
Yeah, and last thing for me is I'd encourage you to check out the WooCommerce hosting button that you can see here in Crowdcast. Check out the GoDaddy offer that we have to get 3 months of WordPress e-commerce hosting for $1. Like I mentioned before, it also contains, I think, 34 extensions. Is that right, Jonathan?
Yeah, I forget the account, but it's a pretty big deal, and that includes bookings. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, so the extension that we demoed today, WooCommerce Bookings, that's included in the plan. So I urge you to check that out if you're looking to get online, start a store, and check that out. The link is in the chat and in the WooCommerce hosting button here.
2 more things. As you're building with clients, tell us about it. Gareth is super active on the WooCommerce Twitter. Let us know what you're building. As always, I'll also plug join the WooCommerce community spaces. There's local meetups happening. We have our global spaces. If you're not already, you can jump on Slack. And last but not least, we're going to be at WordCamp Europe. That's happening over the next couple of days. So starting tomorrow, actually, contributor day is today, but you can go to woocommerce.com/events for details on what's happening there. We have a great AMA, Ask Me Anything happening with some of the WooCommerce folks tomorrow. So that's, let's drop that link in real quick. And I think that's all we got. Thank you. Huge thanks again to GoDaddy for hosting this and making this all happen.
Thank you to all of you for giving us your time. And if you managed to join us for all 3 of those, an extra big
woo!
Well done to you. That's amazing. Thank you for giving us our time. And I really hope you learned something.
Awesome. All right. Bye for now.